Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. So today we are doing another reaction video, and in these videos I take a look at TikTok, Instagram, wherever you have tagged me in along the way, which you can tag me on my socials that appear up on the screen somewhere here, and we kind of like look at them, debunk them, what's useful, what's not, what's just, trying to go viral, what's genuinely helpful. So you can include these kind of things in your makeup routine and stop wasting your time, basically. Just like TV, some things on the internet are for entertainment purposes only. Let's just say that. Just before we get into this today, I want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Skillshare. So for those of you who don't know already, Skillshare is an online community with thousands of classes run by really creative, inspiring people. So if you're into like personal growth and just love learning new things, Skillshare is a great way to do this. There are so many different options on Skillshare as well. I did take a peek at some makeup ones, and there are some great things on there, from drag makeup to how to sanitize your makeup properly to color theory, everything you need to know from basic. So I personally have been learning how to use Procreate. Now this isn't completely random for me. I always like hire people to make graphics and stuff for my channel, and I would just love to do it just because I feel like I just love doing things and learning new things. So I have been taking classes from Brooke Glaser, who is an illustrator, and these have been absolutely incredible. We've gone right from the basics of how to use Procreate, literally like how to create a gallery, how to create layers, adding text, and all the things that I need starting from scratch when I'm learning a new skill. So I've just had the best time learning a new skill and learning from somebody who's been doing it for a long time. I know I'm getting some really important key information throughout these classes as well. So if you want to learn a new skill or even brush up on an old one, whatever it is you want to use Skillshare for, the first 1,000 people who use my code Robert Welsh or use the link I'm going to leave down below for you, you will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start learning something new today. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Okay, we're talking about education reaction. Let's get right into it. And as I always say, makeup, no, I don't. As I always say, individuality and creativity have no rules, but makeup most definitely has a theory. Okay, let's do it. Let's go to TikTok.
If you're not blending your blush up to your under eye area, you're missing out. Just saying.
That looks beautiful. I've seen a lot recently on TikTok. Why is my one eyelash always just hanging down like that? I've seen a lot on TikTok recently of people, and this is something, again, makeup artists have been telling you for a long time. They're starting to implement pink into the under eye. Whether that's a pink concealer, they're mixing up their blusher with their concealer. It's because it brightens the area and color corrects very slightly. And can neutralize in some cases, and sometimes it's actually more effective than a full-on color corrector for people that maybe you don't have very dark under eyes but you still think you have some darkness, and you use like a whole orange color corrector and it's too much. Pink undertones will do the same thing. So the reason that your blush looks so good up there is because it adds a brightness almost to the under eye area, just like yellow does on some skin tones, just like I guess white does on some skin tones, But the good thing about the pink tone, it helps to add some neutralization in that area. Will it work for everyone, especially people with deeper under eyes? Maybe not, but you can go red. You can add red to it if you want to, but it isn't as effective as a color corrector in that sense. But for a lot of people who don't have that darkness under the eyes, of course it works. It has a redness to it. Like me personally, if I'm doing a client's makeup and I want to do some color correction there, I would always use a deeper pink undertone concealer. I very rarely use color correctors. That's a really nice idea. You know what's really great about that is the way that she used the darker blush and then the pinker blush. For fuck's sake. Oh my god. The darker blush and then a pinker blush. Reason being, right, when we contour our face, we keep the darkness to the outside, maybe a little bit in here, and then we don't bring our contours right onto our apples of the cheeks, right? So that really nice gradual, almost ombre, almost fade into the lighter, not only is going to add color, but it's going to add structure to the cheeks as well, without, say, maybe you don't even want to contour. That's going to be a great way to add some structure. It adds structure because it's light versus dark, and it has that comparison to show off that light versus darkness. Whereas blush can absolutely add structure to the face, but when you add that deepness, that darker tone to it, and the lighter tone has something to compare itself to, you get that beautiful thing. Yeah, come on, I need a shit one.
Flour as powder to set the face. I was talking to Rocio's friend Paco on the Tarte trip, and he said that back in the day they used to use flour as powder. Look at the difference. I don't even like using powder, so I have to use flour. It erases the creases under the eye, blurs the skin, and there's no kickiness. Let me know if you want a wear test with the flour and try it yourself. Let's see if you can go over it with highlight and it won't cake. Is it caking? It's not. Ah! I got a little around my nose, and that is not a good look.
Back in the day when where people, maybe during the war when people were rationing food, maybe rice powder, I can imagine way back, before, things were invented. But here's the deal with physical baking powder. First of all, could we see it without a beauty filter? Just to see, actual cooking flour, baking flour, whatever you use. I don't cook, so I don't know what you use it for. Will not do the same thing that a makeup setting powder does, or even a makeup baking powder. It does not do the same job as makeup. Here's the deal. It isn't the same physical composition as a powder. It doesn't have the smoothness. In cases maybe so much without the beauty filter, it won't look that smooth. But also as well, now, one thing that people don't bear in mind when they're, making flour for cooking is how it interacts with cosmetic products, and human oils. So imagine adding human oils to baking powder. Not baking powder, what's it called? Flour. It's just not, I'm outraged. She knows you know exactly what you're doing. And also, that when flashback with flour. Why are we back in these days of, okay, you know what? Try not to get heated. Holy shit. I understand baby powder, because at least it's more than this, because at least it's cosmetic, That's a really good tip. Eye primers, I always say this, they just work for everything. More so priming the eyes, but anywhere that has more movement than usual. That's why you can use some eye primers under the eye too, the more liquid-based ones. But an eye primer, was that an eye primer she was using? I think it was. In smile lines is going to grip onto your foundation more. If you think about it, we use eye primers on the eyelids. Our eyelids are constantly moving. For a lot of us, they're extremely oily. They still manage to grip really, really well. And the Sigma eye primer is a good one for this one. That's one of my favorites. And even the one from Chantecaille, the eye base will be nice. I'm not a fan of that one on the lid. I think it's quite dry, almost too dry, and your foundation doesn't blend your eyeshadow doesn't blend too well, but foundation on top would be really nice. Listen, if there's something, maybe your makeup isn't sitting as well on an area of your face, eye primers for one. That's a good tip. Okay.
Do you struggle with patchy makeup? I'm gonna show you 3 tips to give you a smoother base. Let's get real, guys. Hydrate and moisturize your face. Period. Using a hyaluronic acid is gonna hold moisture and plump your skin. Apply on a damp face. Moisturize even if you have oily skin. I know Michaela's talked about this, and it's one of my favorites too, the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream. Second tip, use a smoothing primer, especially if you have larger pores or texture. This way your makeup will go on smooth like butter. My 2 favorites are the e.l.f. Putty Primer and the Touch in Sol No Pore Blem. And if all else fails, shave your face. We all have hair, and sometimes our makeup holds onto that peach fuzz. I have a tutorial on how I shave my face. Go check it out. And if you like this video, follow for more beauty tips.
Okay, let me go back to that one by one. So priming, your makeup will never look good if your skincare isn't done before. Whether that's a primer, whatever that is. Hyaluronic acid, and I think I've said this in every video I've filmed for the past month. Hyaluronic acid, even just by itself as a primer, amazing. Like the reason she said in the video, it plumps the skin. It gives a really nice surface of the skin as well. It just works. I'm not a skincare expert, so I don't know how. It just does. I do just want to point out this second picture with Apache makeup. That looks over prepped and then over powdered as well. Because you can see like blotches of powder, but also like it's also looks like where it hasn't sat very well on the skin over a period of time. So that is over prepped, and that's one thing I want to add to this as well, is be very wary that you're over prepping. Especially, it's important to prep, but it's important to also not over prep. Remember, think of longevity, especially with an oilier skin. I know we all think a lot of primers that are made for oilier skins tend to be pore diffusing, or they smooth out, or they have like this slip to them, which actually isn't, in long term of how your makeup wears throughout a day, a great texture for oily skin. Even if you have oily skin, I would maybe skip a smoothing primer. Maybe go for one that's mattifying if you want to, but if you're thinking about longevity, I would skip a smoothing primer. And shaving your face, it might seem like a really random thing to do, but again, as she mentions in the video, peach fuzz adds texture. When we brush over peach fuzz, or even when we tap like this, it raises the hairs and therefore it gives you texture to the skin. Same with any hair on the face. But also, let's think about exfoliating the skin as well. Have you ever had those times where your makeup just goes on terribly? It just looks terrible, and then maybe like the next day you exfoliate and everything's better again. Remember to exfoliate. Not all the time, 2 to 3 times a week, depending on your skin.
If you have a dried out mascara, don't throw it away. Just wash the wand because you can actually reuse it. I'm adding some makeup brush cleaner and then I'm going to massage it into the wand to make sure to get rid of all the mascara until it's completely clean.
I love that tip. So I had a favorite mascara, and they discontinued it. So I kept the wand and kept washing it and dipping it into any mascara. With a lot of mascaras, it's the wand that makes the difference. There are a few different bases with mascaras. Like you can get, let me sit in the middle again. Like you can get like a few different bases. Obviously the colors, the blacks can be deeper, lighter, and of course color ones. But the brush is the thing that makes such a huge difference. So if you ever find a mascara, maybe even an expensive one, and you're like, I can't keep buying this, but you love a wand, just wash that brush and then find one that fits into your mascara. Keep the lid on that one. Just hold your brush separately, and in that way you can sanitize it and wash it and everything like that. Because trust me, the brush is a thing that when you're shopping for mascara, it's the brush that you want to really focus on. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. Go ahead and check out the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare, in the description box below, and sign up for that 1 month free of Skillshare. Thank you so much again. I will see you very, very soon. Bye.